Hello students, welcome to Misostudy. So in the today's lecture, we will be talking about female reproductive system. So topic is female reproductive system. In the just previous session, we have already discussed about male reproductive system. All the structure, the ducts, canals, we have already discussed. There are certain glands present over there, and each of these glands, they have their unique function. Similarly, when we talk about the female reproductive system composed of ovaries. The first major organ is ovary. Ovary is paired structure which is present on both sides of lower abdomen. What are these? Paired structure present on both the sides of lower abdomen. When we see the exact dimension of this, the dimension are, they are around 2 to 4 centimeter in length and around 1.5 centimeter in width. Right. Ovaries are those which secrete certain hormones, and they are also considered as a female, they produce, first of all, the female hormone produce female hormone. Along with the production of the female hormone, they also produce egg. Which we call it as a ova. Right? The whole structure that lies, first of all, they are present on the opposite end. They are present on both the sides of that lower abdomen area. In that lower abdomen area, they are connected to vagina as well as pelvic wall. Connected to pelvic wall and uterus. They are connected to pelvic wall and uterus by ligaments. Certain ligaments are present, and these ligaments, they attach these ovary at a particular position. Now, when we see the internal structure, the outermost membrane, they have a stroma inside. Stroma is present inside ovary. Stroma is present inside ovary, right? And they are lined by epithelium. The internal stroma is further divided into two regions, outer cortex and inner medulla. Stroma has two regions present. In this we have is outer cortex and inner medulla. Now, we are discussing about female reproductive system. In the female reproductive system, first of all, I am discussing about ovary. Ovaries are what? These are paired structure which are present on both the side of lower abdomen. When we see the dimension, they are around 2 to 4 centimeter in length and 1.5 centimeter in width. They are almond shaped structure. almond shaped structure. Right? They produce hormone, a female hormone. They also produce egg. Egg means ova. They are also called as a female gamete. Female gamete. In case of male, the male gamete, we have already studied, that is production of sperm, connected to pelvic wall and the uterus by ligaments. When we see the internal structure, the ovarian wall which is present, the epithelium which is present, they enclose stroma inside, and then the stroma has two regions. They have one outer cortex present, outer cortex region present, and they also have an inner region present which is called as a medulla. In this, the eggs, the ova, they are produced. In the different stages of development, these ova are present. These eggs are released in a whole cycle. They have a proper cycle, and that is called as a menstrual cycle. In that whole cycle, we will study about how these eggs are produced, what is a menstrual flow phase, and why this happens. That we will study later on. So this was the first one, which is called as a ovary. Now let's talk about a second, which is called as tubes. Tubes. Tubes, in this we will be talking about, you must have heard of fallopian tube. Fallopian tube. They are also called fallopian tube. In this tubes, that means we are talking about some accessory structures. Accessory structures. In this, we will be talking about tube. We have a uterus present. We have vagina present. Uterus, vagina, fallopian tube, etc. When we see the internal structure of these tube, fallopian tubes, they are also called as oviduct. Fallopian tube, also called as oviduct. Called as oviduct. Right? When we see the whole structure of these fallopian tube extend throughout the lower abdomen. In that lower abdomen, they are present on the both the side. On one side, they are attached to ovaries, and that ovary is further connected to uterus wall. When we see the overall structure, at the end structure they have is an infundibulum present. In that infundibulum present, in that infundibular region, there are certain finger-like projection present, and these finger-like projection, they are called as a fimbriae, and these fimbriae, they gain this egg when the eggs form inside the ovaries. Right? So let's write about the different parts of fallopian tube. Part of fallopian tube, part of fallopian tube near to ovary, this is called as infundibulum. Infundibulum. Now, right? And in this infundibulum region, one hair-like structure present, which is called as a fimbriae. Fimbriae are what? Hair-like structure, hair-like projection, hair-like projection present at end of infundibulum. Present at end of infundibulum. Present at end of infundibulum. Even when we see the internal structure, they help in receiving egg. Receive egg from ovary. Receive egg from ovary. Right? After that, one more region is present, which is called as isthmus. Isthmus. Present in fallopian tube. Fallopian tube. And fallopian tube is that tube in which fertilization happens. This is the place where fertilization happens. Fertilization occurs. This is the place where fertilization occurs, called as a fallopian tube. So in the fallopian tube, which is also called as a oviduct, the different regions are present. Starting from infundibulum, they also has one more region called as isthmus, some hair-like projection present, and these hair-like projection are called as fimbriae, right? And after that isthmus region, there is a region starts which is called as the uterus region present. The uterus is a pear-shaped structure. When we see the exact dimension of this fallopian tube, that is around 12 to 14 centimeter. 12 to 14 centimeter. After that we have is a uterus present. The uterus has certain lining present, and these lining, in this the innermost lining is called as a endometrium. There is a cyclic formation and degradation of this endometrium lining, which we call it as a menstrual cycle. And later on we have is another region which is called as a vagina. Students, note down this, then we will proceed further. So students, hope you have noted down about these ducts. In the ducts we have discussed about this fallopian tube. Now let's draw the structure, then we will talk about the vagina and uterus. Now let's see the whole structure, how it look like. Similarly on this side also, this which I am drawing right now, this is called as a fimbriae. On that fimbriae region we can see that ovaries are attached. Let's see. Here the ovaries, they are attached. Similarly on this side also. These are ligaments, right? And we can see that this is called as a vagina. Vagina. Right. This is a pear-shaped structure present. This pear-shaped structure is called as a uterus. Now, let's start labeling. This is called as this whole region is called as a fallopian tube. Fallopian tube. Fallopian tube. This region is called as a cervical canal. Cervical canal present. This is called as a ovary. We have a pair of ovary present, one on both the sides. Similarly, these are certain ligaments present which help in attachment of ovary to uterus as well as to pelvic wall. Now, this region, this pear-shaped structure is called as a uterus. Similarly, this region, a finger-like projection you can see, and they are called as a fimbriae. Right. After that, in the fallopian tube, we have one region which is called as a isthmus region present, right? And we can see the overall structure. This structure is called as a infundibulum. In the uterus region, the different linings are present. The innermost lining, which is glandular, this is called as a endometrium. This innermost which is a glandular structure, and they are called as endometrium. Endometrium. Below endometrium, myometrium is present. So this I am labeling it as myometrium. After that, one more last layer is called as a perimetrium. Perimetrium present. So this is the structure of female reproductive system. Female reproductive system. Structure of female reproductive system. So what we have learnt? We have learnt about, first of all, I have discussed about this ovary. The ovary is a somehow, you can say, an almond shaped structure, and in that almond shaped structure, the outermost lining, they include a stroma present. In the stroma, the two regions they are present. One is called as a cortex and medulla. Cortex and medulla region present. In this, the process which is called as a oogenesis, that is the formation of egg, happens. Once the egg is formed, they are cast up by these fimbriae present, and these are the finger-like projection. This ovary is attached to fimbriae, and these are attached to basically the pelvic wall, and they are attached to uterus with the help of certain ligaments present. After this we have is another tubal region present, which is called as a fallopian tube, and fallopian tube is a region of fertilization. Very important question. Fertilization. In this, the fertilization happens. The sperm travels from the vagina, they come over here, and this is the region from where the fertilization happens. Once the fertilization happens, the zygote which is formed, they come over here and implantation happens in the uterus. When this implantation happens, this endometrium, which is a glandular structure, they provide nourishment. That's why the whole cycle of the menstrual flow cycle that happens. When we see the inner middle structure, which is called as a myometrium. Myometrium is myo, that means it is having some muscles, and they are known for the presence of smooth muscles. Smooth muscles. So they have a region, first of all fallopian tube, this infundibulum present, then we have is a isthmus region. In between this region, we can see that one ampulla region is present. When we see the overall diameter, the diameter of infundibulum is less as compared to the ampulla region. So this is a whole structure. So after this fertilization, they again come back to this region and the fertilization happens. So this is a whole structure. This is called as a cervical canal. Cervical canal is that canal which connects the uterus to the vagina, which help in the passing of sperm. Right. So this is a whole structure. The three layers present, one is called as the innermost layer, which is called as the endometrium, which take parts in menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle. By their repeat degradation and synthesis. Degradation and synthesis. Degradation and synthesis phase. Mention the function of a zona pellucida. Now, first of all, tell me where this zona pellucida is present. Zona pellucida is present outside the oocyte, and this zona pellucida, whenever sperms enter, whenever sperm tries to enter into egg, if one sperm has entered, characteristic changes within the zona pellucida will happen, due to which it will not allow further entry of sperm. That means the function of sperm is function of zona pellucida is to prevent entry of many sperms. Many sperm. Or can I write this as prevent polyspermy? Prevent polyspermy. Because what I want is only a diploid condition. I don't want any kind of triploid condition. I don't want any kind of tetraploid condition or pentaploid condition should be obtained. For that, we have a zona pellucida which keeps a check that that only a single sperm has to enter. Now, let's talk about a question number 2. So, for that, I need to prepare a board for you. By the time, read the question. Write the function of oxytocin. In the just previous session, we have discussed about a process of parturition. That means to expel out a baby. In that expulsion of baby, a hormone is required which is called as a oxytocin. So, oxytocin is that hormone which helps in the process of parturition. Do not get confused between the picturation and parturition. Expelling out of a urine is picturation, parturition is expel out of a baby. That is, it helps in parturition. Now, question from my side is that who secrete this hormone oxytocin? So, oxytocin is secreted by posterior pituitary. It is secreted by posterior pituitary. Now, who stimulate the release of this particular hormone? Basically, the fetal effector reflex. They stimulate the pituitary, and due to which the pituitary secrete oxytocin, and oxytocin causes the process of parturition, that is to expel out the baby. So, what do you mean by this fetal effector reflex? This is because of mild contraction. This is because of mild contraction of uterine muscles and placenta. Due to the mild contraction, the fetal effector reflex is created. This causes posterior pituitary to release oxytocin, and oxytocin causes the process of parturition. So, hope the process is clear to you. Now, this was also a 1 mark question. I have given you the every possible answer that you can give, right? So, next question is also a 1 mark question. Name the embryonic stage that gets implanted into the uterine wall of a human female. That means we are talking about a process of implantation. That means we are talking about a pregnancy. That means a fertilization has taken place. We have already discussed whenever the fertilization happens, first of all, there is a formation of zygote. After that, there is a formation of a 2-cell stage. Then there is a formation of a 4-cell stage. And later on, after 8 to 16 cell stage is formed, and that 8 to 16 cell stage is called as morula. And after that, there is a formation of a blastocyst. Blastocyst is that which is 64 cell stage. Blastocyst, and blastocyst is a 64 cell stage. In this we have two layers present. One is called as a trophoblast and second is inner cell mass. So these two, basically the walls, or you can say the blastocyst, are the one which get implanted into the uterine wall of a human female. So answer is blastocyst for question number 3. Now let's talk about question number 4. This is also a 1-mark question. What stimulates the pituitary to release the hormone which is responsible for parturition, and name the hormone? The same hormones here I have already discussed in question number 1 or 2, where the hormone which is responsible for the process of parturition, that hormone is called as oxytocin. And who secrete this? Posterior pituitary, right? And there is always a reflex for that. That means this is secreted in reflex of in effector reflex, that is a fetal effector reflex. Effector reflex. And this fetal effective reflex, this is due to a mild contraction of uterine muscles and placenta, due to which a reflex is created which causes a pituitary gland to secrete oxytocin, and basically posterior pituitary. Now we have to talk about that hormone. That hormone is oxytocin, and the first we have is a fetal effector reflex. Not only these, one another hormone is secreted, but that is not related to pituitary, but still I want to share with you because we are talking about the parturition. So in that, one more hormone is there, and the name of that hormone is relaxin, and that relaxin causes a contraction, that causes relaxation of the connective tissue which is present near the pubic symphysis. So due to which there is a relaxation occur, due to which the opening of the pubic symphysis occur and easy delivery of baby occur, right? And you can say that we have to talk about only one hormone, that is oxytocin over here. So relaxin was just a add-on knowledge to you. You don't need to explain about the relaxin over here, because they have already mentioned about the pituitary. So this is a 2 marks question. Where does fertilization occurs in humans? Explain the events that occur in this process. So as we have already discussed, I am not going in detail because we have discussed in case of fertilization. So hope you remember those sessions. I will be just talking about that how fertilization happens. Here the question says that where this fertilization happens. We have already discussed that fertilization happens in fallopian tube. To be more precise, I can say that in the fallopian tube, the fertilization occur in ampullary isthmic region. Isthmic region. In that particular region, the fertilization happen. Now, we have to explain about the whole event that occurred during that process. So first of all, you have to explain each of the points step by step. Starting from the copulation, that is a coitus, due to which the sperms are released into the female vagina. When sperms are released into a female vagina, that sperm travel to the uterus and they travel towards the fallopian tube. When they travel towards the fallopian tube, there the fertilization happens. After that fertilization event, the zygote which is created, they again move down to the uterus. So when they again move down to the uterus, there is a place where implantation happens. So you have to explain about the each and every step, starting from the copulation or the coitus to the insemination process. That is a penis of a male, they releases the sperm along with the, that whole secretion that is called as a semen is released into the human female. In that case, again they travel and travel leveling is because of chemotaxis. Hope you remember session, students. The chemotaxis, this allow the movement of sperm. And how sperm moves? Sperm moves because of the tail present, and that tail allow the movement, and with the help of chemotaxis they move. They also have an energy source, that means they have a mitochondria present in the middle piece. So, this was a question number 5th. So, how to attempt such questions? These questions, first of all, you have to write about the where this fertilization happens. Ampullary isthmic region of fallopian tube. Then you have to explain about the whole process. Write down each and every step one by one, starting from the entry to the end. Write down each and every step, right? So, in the point wise, you have to attempt the each of these questions. So, let's talk about the next question. Mention the number of cells of the following stages. Now, a very good question. These all are the questions from some previous year CBSE, and in that they have asked about they have given the certain stages, and we have to explain about the different cells. Now, first of all, they have asked about a zygote. Now, tell me one thing, how zygote is formed? Zygote is formed because of fertilization. And the fertilization is a process of a fusion, and the fusion occur between the haploid gametes. Fertilization, or you can say a fusion of haploid gametes. Here I have written gametes. So, we have two gametes. One is called as a female gamete and another is called as a male gamete. And these gametes are formed because of the process of meiosis, and that's why they have only an n number of chromosomes. So, this is just an additional that I would like to discuss. So, we have to say that first of all, after the fusion, there is a formation of a zygote. So, the fusion is occur, a single cell stage will form, that is called as a zygote. Now, come back to this side. Here I have written a zygote, and I have to write about a number of cells. In this case, the number of cells in the zygote is always 1, because it is formed by the fusion. And one more thing, this is always 2n. Right? Because fusion of haploid cells. Now, let's talk about a morula. Morula is that stage, a solid mass of ball. So, this is a solid mass of ball is there. And when we see actually they have cells present. In that cells, they are having around 8 to 16 cells are present. And this 8 to 16 cells, they are called as a morula. Next we have is a blastocyst. Blastocyst is that where this implantation occur. This is the stage which leads to implantation. Right? And blastocyst, we can see that basically it is a 64 cell stage, and this 64 cell stage, they are having a very two well defined layer, that is called as a trophoblast, and second is called as ICM, that is called as inner cell mass. Inner cell mass. A very easy question, very direct question, but still I have given you each and every prospect in which they can be asked.